Before we discuss specifically what the just and holy principles of the Constitution are, it is needful that we first discuss some fundamental underlying ideologies. The first ideology we will consider is collectivism. Collectivism is the worldview which maintains that a group or collection of people must take precedence over the interests of individuals. Perhaps this sounds reasonable. After all, isn't the greater good to be accomplished by focusing on the greater number? However, in collectivism, there must of necessity be an arbitrarily created favored group, which has privileges which other members of society do not have. In practice, this means that whatever the people in power, the political planners, decide is the group of special interest, all rights of any other individuals may be superseded or totally ignored in order to meet the goals for the governing group. Collectivist ideologies include socialism, communism, fascism, and to a very large extent, even modern American liberalism. Under communism, the group of special interest was the proletariat, or poorer working class. Therefore, the property rights of the bourgeoisie, or wealthier people, were totally disregarded, as they were pillaged to provide means for the redistribution of wealth. National Socialism, more commonly known as Nazi fascism, was a socialism of the middle class, stripping others, particularly the Jews, of their rights and property. While admittedly not as sinister, also among the collectivist ideologies is modern American liberalism, which is more properly termed progressivism, to distinguish it from classical liberalism, which is completely different and the opposite of modern liberalism. Progressives believe that the Constitution and the ideas it was based on are archaic and out of date, and they therefore wish to progress beyond these principles. Progressivism has much in common with socialism. This is the tax the rich mentality, with the spoils, of course, being meant to go to the poorer working classes, simply because they are poor. Never mind that they have personally done nothing to earn it, or that the original owners of the money may have labored diligently to obtain it. There is no thought that the wealthy person may actually be entitled to his property in the same way that a poor person is entitled to theirs. Instead, the poorer people are set up as a favored group, having the privilege to receive the money of others, without doing anything to merit it. In the convoluted view of progressivism, this is thought to be just, and is termed by them social justice. This is how progressives view equality. Equality to them means economic equality, where people are more or less in a similar economic class, and this is achieved by government control. Equality for progressives does not mean equal rights to liberty or property, because this condition cannot exist if their goal of economic equality and social justice is to be achieved. It is important to consider that the Church has made very strong and clear stances against such collectivist ideologies as socialism, communism, and fascism. The First Presidency has said, in regards to communism and all other similar isms, that Latter-day Saints cannot be true to their faith and lend aid, encouragement, or sympathy to any of these false philosophies. The First Presidency has also warned, the Church does not interfere and has no intention of trying to interfere with the fullest and freest exercise of the political franchise of its members, under and within our Constitution. But communism is not a political party nor a political plan under the Constitution. It is a system of government that is the opposite of our constitutional government, and it would be necessary to destroy our government before communism could be set up in the United States. To our church members we say, communism is not the United Order, and bears only the most superficial resemblance thereto. Communism is based upon intolerance and force, the United Order upon love and freedom of conscience and action. Communism involves forceful despoliation and confiscation, the United Order, voluntary consecration and sacrifice. Communism undertakes to control, if not indeed to prescribe, the religious life of the people living within its jurisdiction, and it even reaches its hand into the sanctity of the family circle itself. No loyal American citizen and no faithful church member can be a communist. We call upon all members completely to eschew communism. In today's society, collectivism is manifested in government programs that cater to the poor because they are poor, or clandestine government agreements between the government and wealthy corporations, showing favor to certain elements of the business world. In each of these cases, a favored group or class has been arbitrarily created and pandered to the detriment of the others in society who must bear the cost of this special treatment. Collectivists of whatever stripe can all be classed together. The only difference between them is simply that they disagree on who the preferred groups should be, and who should be receiving the other people's money. Are all liberals Nazis? Of course not. But their methods work on the same principles: the overriding of freedom of choice and inalienable rights of the individual. Collectivism is totally destructive to human freedom, as it sweeps aside the people's unalienable rights to life, liberty, and property in order to meet the political planners' socio-political goals. Collectivism is the philosophy of tyranny. Individualism is the idea which the Constitution of the United States is based on. It is based on the premise that the rights of each individual are given to them by God and are therefore sacred and unalienable. The government, therefore, has no right at all to infringe on the individual's rights to life, liberty, property, privacy, or freedom of opinion. Rather than political planners making goals for society and forcing people to be obedient to their designs, people are left alone to pursue their own interests and goals. Rather than the government vainly attempting to provide equal things, instead its sole responsibility is to ensure equal rights. Rather than establishing preferred groups in society, the government is meant to ensure that all people, rich or poor, learned or ignorant, are equal before the law with the same inherent rights as their neighbor. This is called the rule of law. This was the ideology that fostered the environment that created the greatness of the United States of America. By holding sacred the rights and freedom of the individual and allowing people to govern their own lives. Individualism is the philosophy of freedom. You will find in the Book of Mormon, which is meant to be a parallel for our modern times, a corresponding incident to this modern war between individualism and collectivism. And this is the conflict between the king men and the free men. The king men sought to establish a rule by kingship in the land. Throughout most of the world's history, mankind has been under the yoke of oppressive kings who owned and controlled virtually everything. Whenever there has been government ownership and control pervading the lives of individuals, it has led to a loss of freedom. The Founding Fathers, on the other hand, rejected the doctrine of kingships and placed men on equal footing, with a chance to prosper according to their willingness and work ethic. This is the foundation of freedom, private ownership, and private enterprise. Since the time of the founders, unfortunately, kingmen have sought to penetrate into free lands with their age-old philosophies of government ownership and control. Today, the kingmen's political philosophies are known as collectivism, which includes many varieties and variations. But no matter the names, the movement is, at its core, the age-old fight between those who support freedom and those who are kingmen. It has always been about the redistribution of wealth and excessive government control.